Well, this went well. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Colorado Rockies. My name is AC Axel, also known as Alex Murray. Welcome back. Our season ended very well, and as you guys can see, we did in fact win our second World Series in 3 seasons. In all honesty, we really should be 3 for 3 right now, but I will happily take 2 for 3 with the additions of Riley Green and Bowitt Jr. and just all of the really good stuff we had this season. It really came at the right timing to be able to get us our second World Series championship. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about our season. We'll talk about what happened since our last episode and where we left off. So let's first start with a quick little recap, I guess, since that's going to be a good place to get started at this point. So, we had just gotten up to the All-Star break, I believe, in our last video. We had, of course, all of our announcements for who was going to be in the All-Star game. Of course, that was going to be Kunkel and Vest as well. Of course, Condon was there, as well as Riley Green. And I think that's about it. Yeah, that was it, technically. We just had a couple people who went into the All-Star game at this point, as well as somebody who is going to be fighting Larry Kunkel for that Rookie of the Year award, Andre Batista. And we'll talk a little bit about that down the road. But the All Star game came and went. Our rookie system was able to provide us with one rookie prospect. That's Justin Novar, who is actually becoming quite a decent center field option. This might be someone we actually replace Brenton Doyle with if he can get that defense up a little bit more. This would actually be serviceable. So we'll see how Novar's development continues. He had a really good season in the rookie ball system, moved up to A ball, and that's where he is at right now. Bubba is going to be in, I believe, A-ball next season, the age of 20. He's the 46th overall prospect now as we get into the off season. Now, as always, we had really good development from our minor league systems. We've had people like Hearthstone have a good season. We've had people like Matt Bentley have good seasons. Micah Matthews continues to do well. Jason Adams continues to do well. He's actually had a really good season in Double A this year. Really good season in Double A. 7.1 WAR for a Double A player. He's basically ready to go to the majors. It's either going to be him or it's going to be, I think it's Ben. It's either going to be Ben McCarthy. We have Jason Adams, and we also have who's the other catcher we have that's like ready to go right now? McPherson. Yes, we have like 2 or 3 really good, not great hitting catchers, but their defense is really good, and they are just hitting the lights out of the ball right now in all the minor league systems. And Ben McCarthy is the one at the front of that list right now, almost ready to go. So there's going to be some company for Drew Romo this upcoming season. And in all honesty, the way that Drew Romo continues to hit, I know we're getting sidetracked here, but just because of how poor Romo's hitting is turning into, that might be a sooner than later situation where that defense is just not enough to pick up where the offense is leaving for Drew Romo. So there is a chance that down the road we might actually be willing to offer Drew Romo to a team for a fairly team-friendly contract at $11.6 million, and it would actually save us some money as we get younger once again. So I know a lot of OTP fans are, diehards for Drew Romo, but there's actually an opportunity for us to move on from Romo and from other people as we feel the need to down the road if we get something that's better or, some kind of a compromisable, no, not compromisable, but comparable player to what we currently have. We might be able to make that kind of a move. So, as always, the minors did really, really well. I think everybody except for, I think, single A plus had a really good season in our minors. The All-Star game came and went. Judge won the Home Run Derby. The National League won. We had some good representation in that. Again, Adams continues to do really well in Double A. He got called up to Triple A by the end of the regular season. He is back in Double A right now. Jose Gonzalez, one of our prospects down in the rookie system, had a good season as well. We've had just an interesting season for development. I feel like we found a lot of really good depth players, and I'm just not sure exactly what that's going to mean for us, but we'll see what we can do about that. There were some trade rumors in regards to some stuff by the trade deadline. I don't recall if we made any moves. Sorry, it's been like a week and a half since I did the last video, so unfortunately my memory is a little shorter than I'd like it to be. We continued to watch, of course, as our players continued to do very well. Riley Green did have a mostly healthy season. He ended up having a 6.7 WAR, batting 338, 163 on the OPS plus. I believe he did get one injury, yeah, an oblique strain in August. He was out for about 5 weeks, but he did come right back in time for playoffs. So he did not miss our playoff spot, but I do now suddenly recall literally talking to my monitor and saying, please don't get injured. Please don't get injured, and he got injured anyways. We had really good results from Larry Kunkel over the course of the entire regular season, all the way up to the World Series games. He did phenomenal. He had a 2.81 ERA, 0.99 whip for his rookie season in the big leagues. He's now 5 stars out of 5 stars. The stamina is up at 51. I think that's better than what it used to be. So we have been trying to work on him to keep that stamina as high as possible. That hold runners is actually a bit of a problem, but the strikeouts this year were so good. He was so close to a triple crown in his rookie season, and I just hope and pray that he wins Rookie of the Year, Cy Young. It just he has to. He has to. There's no reason why he wouldn't be able to do that at this point. Micah Matthews continues to develop very well in the minor league system as well. We've had some minor league players discovered by our scout at this point. We had a whole bunch of people come through the system at this point. Some interesting stuff happened. Giamar Gaverti, while his potential ratings have gone way down, he is still doing semi decently. He had a decent enough season in the rookie ball system this year that I still have high hopes that he might be able to be something pretty good. We are working on his defense in the offseason, I believe, of a player development program right now. Again, though, Matthews continues to just be so good as a AAA player. He's now had back-to-back seasons of 30-plus home runs. He batted 317 this season, AAA. Again, it's AAA. But it's just so interesting how his ratings don't quite look like a 317 batting average, 47 homers player. But I guess in the AAA eyes, he's worth it. So we might have to look at either bringing him up to the majors in the offseason or trading him. There's actually a very high chance we will trade Matthews for cash or international spending cash because while I like him, I just don't think he's going to fit our entire team when we have the likes of Alexander De La Cruz in the system and he's doing pretty well. We still have people like Wilder Dallas who are doing pretty well. He might also be trade bait in all honesty. There's just a few people that, we might be looking at getting rid of just because we just have a whole lot of depth suddenly out of nowhere. You got Will Taylor also, who's been having an okay season down in AAA, but really is here for his speed and his defense. We kind of have a little bit of a log jam, it feels like, at some interesting positions, and Micah Matthews is just one of those. Jaden Stroman had a good season, but he was injured for parts of it. He ended up having a fairly decent rookie season, all things considered, though, and a 4.7 WAR for a rookie is quite good. He's a captain. We're actually debating about training him in right field for the upcoming season. He would be considered a 4-star player in right field. And the reason why we'd be doing that is because that would put Riley Green to DH. Nelson Rada would go to left. And that would mean that Stroman would actually play full time instead of trying to split time between shortstop and second base. So that's our plan right there for Stroman moving into the next upcoming season. Billy Carlson, a 2A player down in Double A, I believe, had a good season as well. Dallas actually had a cycle. I believe this was for AAA technically, but then he got called up later down the season and actually did very well for us in the majors. Condon had a very good period of time as well. He finished the season with 61 home runs, 157 RBIs, slugging percentage of 671 leads the league. 119 runs scored for Charlie Condon. It was a phenomenal season for our first baseman, our power hitting first baseman at this point. Ronaldo Gonzalez, unfortunately, one of our more top tier pitching prospects, has gone down to a decompression surgery requirement on his radial nerve in his elbow. He's out for 8 more weeks at this point, and he was having a good season down in the rookies or down in the A ball, and we're hopeful that he might be able to continue to develop and he doesn't lose a whole bunch of his stuff because of this injury, unfortunately. Otherwise, Jose Alvarez, another outfield prospect down in AAA, doing very, very well. He might be also kind of trade bait-ish at this point. And that brought us up around I think we're getting pretty close here. Yeah, end of August. So we never made any trades. I don't think we actually made any trades this off season or during the season, just because we had just more focus on winning the regular season and doing very well. Eddie Pelend is another person who has actually been taking off down in the Double A system. He has had a full season almost there after being straight from the rookie ball system, so he's doing very well and he's been developing quite nicely. We're still looking into, of course, a whole bunch of other developments. As you can see, Larry Kunkel continues to just develop better and better and better, and it's been such a fun climb to see him go. And you can just see his overall ratings are just climbing, climbing, climbing. And he hasn't hit much of his potential yet. He still has, by far the best he's ever been outside of maybe. No, it's actually the best he's ever been. He is now officially considered his potential is the best it has ever been for Larry Kunkel. He only continues to get better. So we're hopeful that he'll be able to hit all of these ratings and all of this stuff over the course of the next season or two, because this could be a pitcher who is going to be top tier for pretty much his entire career if he can hit all of those numbers. And I will give you guys a quick little preview. I'll give you a preview. We've offered Larry Kunkel, if I can get to the free agents list here, thank you. We have offered him a 15-year, $500 million contract. And if he signs it, and if he goes for it, I will let you all see it in the next episode, okay? But that is on our list right now. We have actually offered him a 15-year, $515 million contract. And yes, it is going to destroy our salaries, but here's the reason why I'm doing it. I am 100% certain that after next season, Bobby Witt Jr. and Riley Green are both going to opt out of their contracts. And I'll tell you why. The average contract being signed by players now in the league is for the elite stars, it's going to start being $40 million a year. And the reason why I know that is because Tristan Casas, is at $40 million and he's only 3.5 stars. So they're going to opt out. I cannot imagine that they're going to be happy with 35 million and 34 million when, a new rookie comes in and is getting paid 33.5, when Paul Skeens gets 36.5, when, Vlad's contract with the Dodgers is 38.5. They're going to want something bigger than Vlad because, in the eyes of, like, say, a Riley Green, he is pretty much a five-tool player. He hits for average, he hits for gap power, he hits for homer power, he steals, and he's got solid enough defense that he's not a liability in the field. So he's got everything. He really does. And outside of his fragility and just being, an injury-prone person, he is probably the best outfielder in baseball. It's just how it is. He is probably the best outfielder, again, in baseball. So it's going to be nigh impossible to say that the second best third baseman and probably the best left fielder and potentially the best outfielder in baseball in Riley Green are not going to opt out of their contracts, which means that starting after 2031, we're going to have approximately $47.5 million open up in our contract books. So at this point, it is more than okay to give Larry Kunkel a long-term deal if we can make it. So that way it's a little bit more favorable to us as a team, which is exactly how we've planned it. So we'll get around to that in the next episode if he does sign that. Of course, right after we got through all of that and the developments about that, we were able to get all the way up to us clinching. Condon had really good season. He had a pretty good season. Multiple good days for Charlie Condon. We clinched playoff berth. Very shortly after that, I believe we won the National League West. That's correct. Hartford's Jason Adams won Player of the Year for them. I believe we had Best Hitter of the Month was Josh Edwards for the Indians. That's down in, I believe, Single A. Yes, that should be, I believe, Single A, and it was a good season for him as well. We did have some people retire. Nobody, super important, but we did have our manager of Double A, Ed Giovanola, who did retire from the Double A system. Unfortunately, his team won 91 games for that season. I believe I do believe he won Manager of the Year as well, if my remembering brain is able to recall that. But I do believe that we were able to then, yeah, yeah. So number one manager, yep, he ended up winning Manager of the Year for his final season. We ended up getting Mario Leisen to be able to play for our AA system. For now, he is moving into that position to fill in for the Yard Goats moving forward. So hopefully he does okay. He's a good manager for that. Otherwise, again, we won the West. We were able to continue to see some really good stuff. Jared Thomas, I wanted to bring this up really fast. Jared Thomas has now been in AAA for 4 seasons. The Tigers have not called him up to the majors. He's very much similar to like a Micah Thomas or a who's the other person we just talked about? A couple of our quad A outfielders. This is basically a picturesque quad A outfielder where it's like, okay, you're not going to be great in the majors, but you'd be okay. But the Tigers are just not letting him play in the majors, and I don't know how long he'll stay in AAA, but he had a great season in AAA this season, but he ruptured his Achilles tendon. I don't know if that'll hurt his chances of being able to play down the road, but Jared Thomas did do very well. We were approached by Jaden Stroman that he wanted to start a charity, so we were fine with that. We went ahead and did that. We did announce that, of course. We are continuing to look through all the minor league, or sorry, not minor league, the international scouting. We went ahead and got started off all of that. We are interested in one person in particular, and that is Alex Rodriguez. We are very interested in this kid. I think he's pretty good. I think he could be a little bit better. We'll see how he goes when we get around to actually trying to sign him. He's got some interesting stuff. I think his stamina is a little bit too low for my liking, but he is definitely the best prospect in the inside of the international scouting free agency for this season. So we're hopefully going to try to make a move for him. We're also probably going to make a move for, I think it's Sergio Ruiz. Yes, we're going to try to get him as well. We're going to try to actually trade for some international budget expansion with some trades this offseason. And we're going to try to get both of them. So stick around and see if we actually do get both of them. Either way, during all of that time, we were, of course, into playoffs, and we did a phenomenal job in the playoffs. We took down the Dodgers 3-0, 3 straight games. Kunkel, Perez, and LMAO Hernandez did a great job, I believe, in the final game of the series. Nelson Rada got player of the series, or series MVP. He had a very good one for us. Ended up having 5 RBIs, a homer, batted 500, and a 5 for 10 performance. Larry Kunkel, I believe, did pretty good in game number 1 against the Dodgers. Yeah, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. So it was a good showing for our team against the Dodgers, who had won 94 games in the regular season and had the second best offense. So we shut down their offense, did a great job. Our offense came through. Again, we are the number 1 offense and the number 1 pitching staff in the National League. So we are very, very good. The Cubbies took down the Cincinnati Reds. That was a huge upset. The Reds offense did not pull through. They lost in 4 games to them. Pete Crow Armstrong got the player of the series for the Chicago Cubbies. They have had a very interesting season, but Rosebro is going to be their big one. Otter, as he is nicknamed. He had a very good rookie season for the Cubbies. He's not on the same level as Larry Kunkel, but he's very, very good. And we ended up having to play against the Cubbies in the league championship series. We took them down in 6 games, with the last game, of course, being Rosebro trying to face off against Perez, and we were able to withstand the barrage and take down the Cubbies in 6 after we took the first, I think we took the first 2 games, Cubbies took the next 2 games, and then we took the final 2 games of the series. Charlie Condon was the series MVP after having 4 home runs in the 6 games, having 11 RBIs and batting .360. And that brought us up to our World Series contestant, which was going to be the Boston Red Sox of all teams. So Sonny Gray gets to have another shot at a World Series title. So he's won once with the Colorado Rockies, and then I believe he should have won in 2029 with the Boston Red Sox, but I don't think he was actually on the team. I think he was injured, so he wasn't able to actually win the World Series with the Boston Red Sox in 2029. Yes, I do believe he was injured. Yeah, he was injured for torn meniscus, missed 4 months, and did not get a ring, but he is back here again. They took down the Seattle Mariners, and they did a very good job of doing it as well. Again, this is a Mariners team that has Blake Snell, one of the oldest, former aces of the league. He had a very good season, but it's just he's on his way out, unfortunately, at the age of 37. But of course, they have Julio Rodriguez, one of the better hitters in the league. Very good, solid center fielder. 7.7 WAR season for Julio, but he's fragile. And the Boston Red Sox took them down in 4 straight games. And the Red Sox are known for this kid. This is Russ McLaughlin. This this is a comparable person to Larry Kunkel. This is his second full season, or sorry, not second full season, his second season in the big leagues. Was supposed to be his first full season, but he did get injured during the regular season. 6 to 7 weeks of a bone chip in his elbow. He had some issues of stuff. He actually added a pitch to his arsenal in the past season's development. That must be the new splitter that he picked up. Why can't I get stuff like that, OOTP? Why can't I get a 60 rated overall splitter suddenly added to my abilities? Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Anywho, he's done very, very well over the course of his development. Basically, he added a splitter to his repertoire. That's not fair, game. That's just not fair. He's not anywhere close to what he was when he was drafted, however, 104, 70, 80. He's definitely mellowed out a ton since then. He used to be extremely good. But he has definitely fallen off a little bit of that. Might be just well, actually, not anything wrong with his personality. But regardless, the Boston Red Sox and Russ McLaughlin were our competitors in the World Series. For game number one, we took them down 2-1. We took them down 4-2. We took them down 12-6. They took us down 10-4. And in game five, we took them down 5-3. A final score there. Hampton was able to get 2 of those wins. And technically, Nick Morabito was the player of the series. He got series MVP. He had a 550 batting average, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. But personally, I would have personally given it to probably it's got to be Chase Hampton at that point. Yeah, 2 starts for Hampton. He had a 1.80 ERA. Did a great job. Only gave a couple of runs in his 2 starts against the Boston Red Sox. Yeah, literally 2 earned runs, and he helped us win both of those ball games. And we took down the Boston Red Sox for the 2030 World Series. It was a great season for us. I'm going to bring us back to this screen right here. Great season for Riley Green, 6.7 WAR season for him. Larry Kunkel, of course, 7.5 WAR season. Our pitching was mostly Larry Kunkel carrying us to the World Series with a little bit of help from people like Yuri Perez and a pretty solid bullpen that was able to keep us afloat to allow the offense to really just rattle off a lot of good offensive production. We had great seasons from once again, Riley Green, Charlie Condon, Ezekiel Tovar had a good enough season, even though he was injured for a good portion of it, still had a 5 WAR season. I'm still hopeful he can be able to continue to develop and do really, really well as our shortstop of the future. Not looking to extend. We're looking to extend him. We are adding in his final season for 2031 at $20.5 million, and we're looking to do about a couple more seasons of 20, and then maybe a couple of seasons of like 30 and seeing if that's enough to keep him. Again, we're expecting Witt Jr. and Riley Green to both opt out of their contracts. They're going to want probably $40+ million. And it just depends on whether or not we want to actually extend either of them after they opt out. That's, again, I'm just assuming that's going to be what's happening down the road. But with the addition of people like Jaden Stroman to our system who can play second base, shortstop, could play third, can play outfield, there's actually a decent chance that we could replicate people like Bobby Witt Jr. with our own prospects with the likes of a Stroman at third base. So we may be just fine to let people like Bobby Witt Jr. and Riley Green depart from the team. Not to mention the fact that we would get compensation picks for having done that, and of course, giving them qualifying offers. Tovar would also be in that boat if we felt like as if we had a good enough shortstop who'd be able to replicate what Tovar can do every single season. It's been great having Tovar. I'd prefer not to see him leave, but at the same time, we are all in on Kunkel, and we're going to be all in on Kunkel. And unless something happens to him, we We believe he is the face of the team, and we don't really need to, go all in on our offense as big with the upcoming seasons. And we're just also kind of expecting, maybe that's putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but I do expect us to be able to develop some of our players in our development system. Novar is one of them. I expect people like Manny Vaca's not too bad either. I think he could be something good. Chris Hunt, who's down in our rookie system, he could still develop into something quite nicely. I think our catchers are all set. I think our pitchers have become a little bit more stacked now that we have people like Antonio Castilla from the rookie draft that we just did. I think he's actually very, very talented and very good. Um, I think we have options. And with people like Pelend having great seasons and people such as Jose Alvarez having good seasons, potentially, at least in Double A he did, we've had a lot of suddenly very good progression from certain individuals. And if we can get some of our money kind of figured out and worked on, we might be able to be pretty good. We are expecting to jump up to $244 million next season. We actually dropped $2 million on our budget this year. I'm hoping that the owner kind of reverts that because he dropped us down, which is not what I was expecting. But regardless, we'll see what we can do. Um, we did have Nick Martinez, of course, retire at the end of the season. We got our contract extended for another 3 seasons at $1.4 million. Our first base coach left. We've already acquired, or not acquired, we've already offered out to somebody else to replace that position. And then here's the first big move. We did do one trade. We traded with the New York Yankees, of all teams, because we realized we needed money. We actually were, because of the fact that we did not get an improvement to our budgets, we were actually under. So we got $35 million in cash from the New York Yankees. We picked up Jesus Gonzalez, who's actually a very decent middle infielder prospect out of their Double A system. He had a decent enough season for us to pick him up. Chris Brewer is going to be another pitching prospect for us. He goes to, I believe, either going to be single A plus or double A next season. He's an interesting one. I think he can develop, and I think we can make him work. We picked up another first base prospect as well. This is a very, very, very undeveloped first base prospect right here, but we're hopeful he'll be able to do a pretty good job. At the age of 19. And then, of course, we had to give up for this deal. We did end up giving them Jason Burquest, one of our relief pitching prospects. The control just wasn't that great. I think he could still become pretty good, but we're doing okay on the bullpen. I don't feel too bad about getting rid of him. We also got rid of Willie Espin, who had been reacquired from the Mets after they Rule 5 drafted him in the season. We ended up putting him back down to AAA, I believe, and he is good, but I didn't really see a place for him on the team with the other people we have and the rookies that are coming up to the system. And it's just going to be another person who is for depth. And we're going to probably lose him again at the Rule 5 draft if we try to do it again. So Yankees pick him up. They'll take him. And again, $35 million in cash is pretty good. We also gave them Steve Chenet, who's a relief pitcher. Another person who's not terrible, but not great. He ended up having just one game started for us in the big leagues after mostly having a season in Double A. He probably won't turn into anything that big, but could be a decent enough relief pitcher. Bob Otero rounds out the trade coming from our rookie system. He's a very young 18-year-old, decent bat, but really not a whole lot else to his name. So again, not a really big deal for us, but we did pick up the number 99 overall prospect in Chris Brewer, their starting pitcher, and a whole bunch of cash. So I'll continue to see if we can do more trades like this, technically, just in case there's something else we can squeeze out of some teams. Because again, our money is a little bit tight this season, and we have so many good depth players down in the minors that we could offer some of them for some instant cash just to keep our development and scouting budgets afloat for the season and potentially be able to make some additional offers for certain players for extensions, such as Tovar. And that's really the big one right now is going to be Ezekiel Tovar. He's going to be done after this upcoming season. We just have to think about, do we want to extend him out to the same length as, say, Amador and Rada and Romo and Condone, or do we go ahead and cut him now, take the qualifying offer compensation, because that's what's going to happen, and just, accept the fact that we're not going to be able to really offer him the money that he wants alongside everybody else. Now, The other thing important to note about that, and I'm sorry to ramble on about this, but that is the same season that Riley Green and Bobby Witt Jr. are going to be potentially, and I'm assuming, opting out of their contracts. So there could be a situation where we end up with like $80 million in our budget available, and we might be able to offer Tovar an easy extension at that point at, maybe like 25 million a year. Maybe. I'm assuming he probably wants somewhere closer to like 30 to 35, but if we build up good enough relationships and we have a couple of World Series rings under our belts, maybe they'll sign for less. Maybe. Will Vest will leave after 2 more seasons. I'm expecting Justin Martinez to leave after his 3 seasons. A lot of the relief pitchers we're probably going to be getting rid of. I'm expecting a lot of our arbitration players actually not to be re-signed. I guess we'll end with that note. We're not going to be expecting to extend offers to Chase Dollander, Chase Hampton. I'm debating about Carlos Rodriguez. I think I'll keep him on at least. Edgardo Enriquez. It's a lot of money for a relief pitcher, actually, now that I'm thinking about that. I might not offer it to Edgardo, and we'll just see what we can do on the back end. But otherwise, yeah, Lovelady's gone. Psyche is gone now officially. We're not going to offer qualifying offers to any of our other players who are pending free agents. Excuse me. And then, of course, Imanaga, Lodolo, and Senga are gone. We have offered minor league extensions to Calaz, Alejos, as well as to Ramos, and I believe also to Donis Rodriguez. So we are expecting all of them to continue on with the team with minor league extensions. Otherwise, we won. We won another one to our title. We are now officially considered, if I go back to our history, we are now World Series winners for 2 of our, 6 seasons? We've gone through 6 seasons already, guys. 2-time World Series winner in 6 seasons. We already have, where do I have history information about us? Like, where do I see our profile? Hold on. I want to look it up and make sure I know what I'm looking at here. I need to see the manager's profile. Where's our profile? Because I know we get an actual, rating for how good we are, basically. Oh, I'm not seeing it here, unfortunately. It might be in our profile or our personnel. We are outstanding in our reputation. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. We are outstanding as a general manager. We finally have our biggest score ever, 1,149 OOTP score for a season. It was beautiful. 108 wins, 54 losses. We had our best ERA to date. We had our best runs scored to date. We had 970 runs scored, 665 runs against, 280 on the batting average, and that straight flat 4 on the ERA for an entire team. We are still expecting some of these players, like Camacho, to completely destroy our decisions tab, unfortunately. I am still expecting the deal for Riley Green to be very, very poor. The deal for probably for Bobby Witt Jr. to be very, very poor. We're going to be very upset that we got rid of people like Ryan Ritter and Ben Jacobs and Camacho and even Brecht now at this point. Paulino is no longer being a big issue for us. I think he's pretty much done being a starting pitcher. He has a herniated disc in his back. I don't think he'll be as big of a loss anymore, but Camacho at least is going to be a tough one to have to get over, and he's probably going to win the Cy Young this year for the American League. This would be his 2nd Cy Young in a row. So, yeah, can you imagine if we had both Kunkel and Reverse Camacho? Man, that'd be good. Riley Green, you've got to give me one more amazing season. I really do need to have Riley Green give us like an 8 WAR season just to help soothe that that deal just a little bit more. Because oh man, we gave up so much for that. I mean, I still think it works. Riley Green comes in, gives us 2 World Series rings, almost 3. If he just stays more healthy, I think we'd be pretty good. And I'm just happy we have him still. I think he's still a very good player, but I'll always be kicking myself for not keeping Camacho. Camacho should have been on the team for life at this point. So either way, that's going to be it for the episode, guys. That's it for now. I think we're doing very, very well. We've had some really good results with our general manager's history and everything at this point. We're still continuing to try to develop our players, do a good job of all of our stuff. I'm hopeful that our player development listing goes up from being 21st overall to maybe by opening day, I'd like to be in the middle of the pack. I'd like to be either 15th or better. And that's if we can get a couple of really good prospects from the International Scouting Amateur Free Agency. If we can do that, and then maybe, depending upon what is developed for international free agents, maybe we'll sign something there. But otherwise, I will talk to you all in the next episode, and hopefully, Kunkel signs that massive deal. I hope he does. I'll see you all in the next episode.